The dim glow of the desk lamp barely lit the office at Newman Enterprises. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, Genoa City stretched into the night like a silent witness to the secrets brewing inside the building. Adam Newman stood near the window, his hands in his pockets, staring down at the city lights. Normally, he found comfort in moments like this. The darkness helped him think, but tonight his mind refused to quiet. Victor Newman's voice echoed in his head. Loyalty to the Newman family must always come first. Those words had been drilled into him for years, but tonight they felt heavier than usual. Because tonight that loyalty had a name. Jack Abbott. Adam exhaled slowly. The entire situation had spiraled out of control faster than he expected. Jack Abbott was missing, kidnapped, and Adam knew exactly who was responsible. Victor Newman. Adam turned away from the window and walked slowly across the office. His father's presence lingered in every corner of this building. Every decision, every strategy, every ruthless move carried Victor's shadow. For most of Adam's life, he had fought against that shadow. But lately, he had stepped right into it. And that realization made him uneasy. Earlier that evening, Adam had stood in Victor's office while his father calmly explained the situation. Victor had been completely unfazed. Jack Abbott was nothing more than a bargaining chip. Billy Abbott had crossed a line when he took control of Chancellor Industries. Victor wanted the company back in Newman hands, and Jack was simply leveraged to make that happen. Adam remembered the moment clearly. Victor had leaned back in his chair, hands folded, his expression cold and calculating. Billy will return Chancellor, Victor said confidently, if he values his brother's life. Adam had felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Jack Abbott wasn't just some random enemy. Once upon a time, Jack had been one of the few people in Genoa City who treated Adam with respect. Back when Adam had been struggling to find his place in the world, Jack had offered him friendship, advice, understanding. And now Jack was sitting somewhere trapped because of a Newman power play. Adam had tried to speak up, but Victor had shut him down immediately. "Are you questioning my decision?" Victor had asked sharply. The tone alone was enough to silence most people. Adam remembered hesitating. Just for a second. That single pause had been enough for Victor to narrow his eyes. "Newman loyalty must come above everything," Victor said firmly. "Do you understand?" Adam nodded. Of course he nodded. Because that was what Victor expected. Because that was what Adam had been doing for months now. Agreeing, following, executing. Somewhere along the way, Adam had become exactly what Victor wanted. His most trusted son. The one who handled the dirty work. The one who didn't hesitate. But tonight, Adam wasn't so sure he liked that role anymore. Meanwhile, miles away from Newman Enterprises, the dark waters of the lake rocked gently beneath a sleek luxury yacht. The vessel floated in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by endless black water and distant fog. Inside the yacht's cabin, Jack Abbott sat tied to a chair. His normally polished appearance had taken a hit. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair disheveled, and frustration burned in his eyes. Jack had spent the past several hours trying to make sense of the situation. Victor Newman. Of course it had to be Victor. The man had spent decades turning vendettas into an art form. Jack leaned forward as much as the ropes allowed and glanced around the cabin. Luxury surrounded him. Polished wood walls, soft lighting, leather furniture. Victor never did anything halfway. Even kidnapping came with 5-star accommodations. But that didn't make the situation any less serious. Jack tested the ropes again. Still tight. Still impossible to escape. The sound of footsteps echoed from the hallway outside the cabin. Jack lifted his head. The door cracked open slowly. And standing in the doorway was someone he never expected to see. Patty Williams. Jack blinked in disbelief. Patty stepped into the room slowly, her expression oddly cheerful. "Well, hello, Jackie boy," she said brightly. Jack stared at her. "You've got to be kidding me." Patty tilted her head. "Oh, come on, is that any way to greet an old friend?" Jack leaned back in his chair, trying to process what he was seeing. "Victor Newman kidnapped me and left me in the hands of Patty Williams." Patty clasped her hands together. "That makes it sound so sinister." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Patty, you once tried to shoot me." Patty smiled awkwardly. "Water under the bridge." Jack sighed. Victor Newman had officially lost his mind. Back in Genoa City, Adam sat alone in the Newman Enterprises office. His phone buzzed on the desk. A message from Victor. 3 simple words. Everything proceeding smoothly. Adam stared at the screen. That message meant one thing. Jack Abbott was still exactly where Victor wanted him. Still a hostage. Still leverage. Adam rubbed his forehead. For years, he had fought to prove himself to Victor. Now he had finally achieved that goal. Victor trusted him more than any of his other children. Nick questioned Victor too much. Victoria challenged him. But Adam executed the plan. Without hesitation. Without resistance. That was why Victor relied on him. But the cost of that trust was becoming harder to ignore. Adam thought about Jack again. About their conversations years ago. About the rare moments when someone had believed Adam could be more than Victor Newman's troubled son. Adam walked back toward the window and stared out at the city again. Somewhere out there, Billy Abbott was scrambling to figure out how to save his brother. Diane was probably panicking. Kyle was likely furious. And Adam was standing in the middle of it all, helping Victor pull the strings. A quiet knock broke his thoughts. The office door opened. Victor Newman stepped inside. Even at this late hour, Victor looked completely composed. Power radiated from him like always. Victor studied Adam carefully. You seem troubled. Adam turned slowly. I was thinking about Jack. Victor's expression hardened instantly. That is unnecessary. Adam hesitated. He used to be a friend. Victor scoffed. Friendship is irrelevant when business is involved. Adam remained silent. Victor walked across the office. Billy Abbott has until tomorrow to make the right decision, Victor continued calmly. When he returns Chancellor Industries, Jack will be released. Adam frowned slightly. And if he does? Victor's eyes turned cold. Billy will regret it. The threat hung in the air like a storm cloud. Adam knew that tone. Victor wasn't bluffing. Victor studied his son again. You're not having doubts, are you? Adam forced himself to meet his father's gaze. No. Victor nodded slowly. Good. Victor placed a firm hand on Adam's shoulder. You are the only one of my children who understands what it means to be a Newman. Adam didn't respond. Because deep down, he wasn't sure that was a compliment anymore. And far out on the dark waters, Jack Abbott stared at Patty Williams across the cabin. Something about her smile made him uneasy. Patty, Jack said carefully, tell me something. Patty leaned forward eagerly. Oh yes. Jack narrowed his eyes. What exactly does Victor Newman plan to do with me? Patty's smile widened. Oh, Jackie. You'll find out soon enough. Outside the cabin window, the dark waves crashed against the yacht as the night deepened. And in Genoa City, the Newman and Abbott families were moving closer to a confrontation that could change everything. But one person stood right in the center of the storm. Adam Newman, a man caught between loyalty and the last pieces of his conscience. The night dragged on in Genoa City. Inside the Abbott mansion, tension hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. Billy Abbott paced the living room, running a hand through his hair for the 10th time in the last hour. Diane sat on the couch, clutching her phone, while Kyle stood near the fireplace trying to stay calm. But calm was impossible. Jack Abbott was missing. And everyone knew exactly who was behind it. Victor Newman. Billy stopped packing and looked at Diane. This is insane, he said. Victor actually kidnapped my brother. Diane's voice trembled slightly. Victor has done worse things before. Billy shook his head. Not like this. Kyle stepped forward. He wants Chancellor, Kyle said quietly. Billy clenched his fists. Yeah, I figured that out. Victor's ultimatum was simple. Give back Chancellor Industries. Or Jack doesn't come home. Billy stared down at the floor. The company represented power, control, and everything Billy had fought for. Handing it back to Victor would feel like surrender. But this wasn't just business anymore. This was Jack's life. Diane spoke again. You can't risk Jack's safety. Billy looked up at her sharply. And what? I just hand Victor exactly what he wants. Kyle stepped closer. Dad would do the same for you. That hit Billy harder than he expected. Jack had always protected him, always defended him, always believed in him. Billy closed his eyes briefly. Victor Newman had played this perfectly. Because Victor understood something better than anyone. Family loyalty could be used as a weapon. Across town at Newman Enterprises, Adam Newman still stood in Victor's office. The silence between them had grown uncomfortable. Victor was watching him carefully. You're distracted, Victor finally said. Adam folded his arms. I'm thinking. Victor's voice sharpened. That can be dangerous. Adam almost smiled. Funny, I thought thinking was supposed to be encouraged. Victor didn't laugh. Instead, he stepped closer. You are questioning me. Adam shook his head slowly. No, I'm just wondering where this ends. Victor narrowed his eyes. It ends when Billy Abbott returns chancellor. And if he does, Victor's expression turned icy again. Then consequences will follow. Adam knew exactly what Victor meant. Victor never made empty threats. For years, Adam had admired that strength. Now he was beginning to see something else. Control, manipulation, fear. Adam looked away for a moment. Victor noticed. You've grown soft, Victor said. Adam's eyes snapped back. Soft? Victor nodded. You used to understand how this world works. Adam stepped closer. I still do. Victor crossed his arms. Then stop worrying about Jack Abbott. Adam inhaled slowly. That's easier said than done. Victor's patience was fading. Jack Abbott is not your concern. Adam met his father's gaze. Maybe he should be. Victor's voice dropped dangerously. Explain. Adam hesitated. For years, he had fought Victor. Rebelled against him. Tried to destroy him. Then something had changed. Adam had stopped fighting. He had started obeying. And Victor had rewarded him for it. But somewhere in that transformation, Adam had lost himself. I just think there are lines, Adam said quietly. Victor laughed coldly. Lines. Adam held his ground. Oh yes. Victor stepped closer, towering over him. The only line that matters is loyalty to this family. Adam's jaw tightened. And what about loyalty to yourself? Victor's eyes hardened. Do not forget who you are speaking to. Adam didn't respond. Because deep down, he knew something Victor would never admit. Victor needed him. Victor relied on him. Victor trusted him more than anyone else. But that trust came with a price. Adam had to give up his own voice. Out on the yacht, Jack Abbott was losing patience. Patty Williams sat across from him, humming quietly to herself. Jack sighed. You seem very comfortable with this situation. Patty smiled sweetly. I'm on a boat with you, what's not to like? Jack rolled his eyes. Kidnapping. Patty waved a hand. Details. Jack leaned forward. You know Victor is using you. Patty tilted her head. He appreciates me. Jack smirked. Victor Newman appreciates one thing. Power. Patty didn't answer. Jack studied her carefully. He needed information. You know Billy won't give in easily, Jack continued. Patty leaned forward suddenly. Oh, I think he will. Jack frowned. Why? Patty smiled again. Because Victor Newman always wins. Jack didn't respond. Because the worst part was, she might be right. Back in Genoa City, Billy's phone rang. The entire room froze. Billy looked at the screen. Unknown number. He answered immediately. This is Billy Abbott. Victor Newman's voice filled the line. Good evening, Billy boy. Billy's anger exploded instantly. You're insane. Victor sounded amused. I assume you're referring to Jack. Billy clenched his jaw. If anything happens to him. Victor cut him off. You know what I want. Billy looked at Diane and Kyle's. Both of them stared at him anxiously. Victor continued calmly. Chancellor Industries. Billy exhaled slowly. You're not getting it. Victor paused. Then he said something that chilled Billy to the bone. Then perhaps your brother should prepare for a longer stay at sea. Billy's grip tightened on the phone. You're playing a dangerous game. Victor chuckled. No, Billy boy. I'm winning. The call ended. Billy lowered the phone slowly. Diane spoke first. What did he say? Billy looked at her. The same thing he's been saying. Kyle stepped forward. So what do we do? Billy stared at the floor again. Then he said quietly, we fight. Meanwhile, Adam stood alone in the dark office again after Victor left. The city lights flickered outside. His mind replayed everything Victor had said. Everything he had done. Everything Adam had helped him do. Jack Abbott was sitting on that yacht because Adam had allowed it. Because Adam had stayed silent. Because Adam had chosen loyalty over conscience. Adam rubbed his face. Maybe Victor was right. Maybe resistance was pointless. Victor always found a way to win. But for the first time in months, Adam felt something stirring inside him again. The same fire he once had. The same defiance that used to drive him. Maybe Victor had written the plans. Maybe Victor believed Adam would always follow orders. But Victor had forgotten something important. Adam Newman had never been easy to control. And somewhere out on the dark waters, Jack Abbott's fate might soon depend on whether Adam finally decided to stop being Victor Newman's obedient son, or start being himself again. The battle between the Newman and Abbott families was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun.